While Scientology, the Fundamentals of Thought, was originally published as a resume of Scientology for use in translation into non-English tongues, the book itself is of inestimable value to the beginner or advanced student of the mind and life. Containing much material new to Scientologists, the book forms a compact but broad survey of the subject. Equipped with this book alone, the student of the mind could begin a practice and perform seeming miracles in changing the status of health, ability, and intelligence of people. No such knowledge has ever before existed, and no such results have ever before been attainable by man as those which can be reached by a study of this brief volume. Give this book to a man or a woman in trouble, a man or woman with an inquiring nature, a man or a woman with associates who need a better life, and let that man or woman study this volume carefully and apply it. Change and a better life will result. This book is a summation, if brief, of the results of 50,000 years of thinking men. The materials researched and capped by a quarter of a century of original research by L. Ron Hubbard have brought the humanities, so long outdistanced by the exact sciences, into the state of equality, if not superiority to physics, chemistry, and mathematics. What has been adapted by 1,000 universities and foundations at a cost of billions has been completed quietly here. This is how life works. This is how you change men and women and children for the better. The use or neglect of this material will determine the use or neglect of the atomic bomb by man. Scientology is already winning in this field. In the same period in history, two of the most sweeping forces man has known have come to fruition. A knowledge of himself and others with Scientology, and a means of destroying himself and all others by atomic fission. Which force wins depends in a large measure on your use of Scientology. Scientology is today around the world represented on every continent on Earth. As you read this, this very book is being translated into many non-English tongues and is being distributed to nations whose thronging multi-millions have never before been touched by Anglo-American thought. As L. Ron Hubbard has said in an essay, Scientology and Scientologists are not revolutionaries, they are evolutionaries. They do not stand for overthrow, they stand for the improvement of what we have. Scientology is not political. When the fires of ideology threaten to consume us all, it is time to forget politics and seek reason. The mission of Scientology is not conquest, it is civilization. It is a war upon stupidity, the stupidity which leads us toward the last war of all. To a Scientologist, the real barbarism of earth is stupidity. Only in the black muck of ignorance can the irrational conflict of ideologies germinate. Government to a Scientologist is the thing of reason, and all problems of government can be resolved by reason. Perhaps in yesterday one could afford the exportation of ignorance for the sake of fancied gain. Perhaps in yesterday the study of the mind and reason was something for a summer afternoon. Perhaps in that same yesterday one among us could afford his irresponsibility and hate. But that was yesterday. Today, exploited ignorance, a dilettante attitude toward existing knowledge, a refusal to assume one's role as a responsible member of the human race, may be punished in the searing thunderclap of H-bombs released by men whose intelligence and statecraft were incapable of better solution. Ignorant people elect ignorant rulers, and only ignorant rulers lead to war. And this time will lead to a war which will bring silence forever after the earth. As your associates, their homes, their children, their possessions, and all their future lie ending in a radioactive street, there won't be a time for us to wish we'd worked harder, been less easily deluded from, not deluded, I'm sorry, dissuaded from pressing our arguments. The copies of this book you did not distribute will lie there too. Some say they have no fear of death until the midnight of their dying is at hand. They say different then. Those who strike at this work those who strike at this work out some black well of ideology misorientation, some antisocial cravenness. Strike at the heart of man. For man has been a long time on the track to reason, and Scientology can take him there. There is not much earth time. We must work. The criminal is ignorant and stupid. Ignorance and stupidity may therefore be called criminal. Cause man to lay aside his hates and listen. Freedom from ignorance is at hand. Perhaps that was the kingdom of heaven. There is not much earth time to which distribute this knowledge. This is the solution to our barbarism, out of which we would lose all. Scientology works. We must work, all of us, not to hand you a man toward impossible freedoms, but to make man civilized enough to be worthy of his freedom. It is time man grew up. That is what we have in mind. For there can be but weeping in the night where ignorance, factionalism, hatred, and exploitation are served by the most furious and final weapons of all, the H-bomb. Okay, factionalism. What do they have? Factionalism. Condition of conflict, disorder, and antagonism among members of a group. Okay. Change no man's religion, change no man's politics, interrupt the sovereignty of no nation. Instead, teach man to use what he has and what he knows to factual creation within any political reference of a civilization on earth for the first time, and so we work. We trust you will find this volume of use in your home life and your business. We hope that by placing it in your hands, you and many others can lead better lives. Comes from the editors. Note, this text has been organized so that a complete translation of all of it will deliver without interruption or destructive change the basics of Scientology into non-English tongues. What is Scientology? Scientology is applied religious philosophy. The term Scientology is taken from the Latin word scio, knowledge of the fullest meaning of the word, and the Greek word logos, study of. In itself, the word means literally knowing how to know. Scientology is further defined as the study and handling of the spirit of relationship to itself, universes, and other life. Any comparison between Scientology and the subject known as psychology is nonsense. Early psychology, such as that begun by Saint Thomas and Aquinas and extended by many later authors, was in 1879 and interrupted severely by one Professor Wundt, a Marxist at Leipzig University in Germany. This man conceived that man was an animal without soul, based all of his work on the principle that there was no psyche, a Greek word meaning spirit. Psychology, the study of the spirit or mind, then came into the peculiar position of being a study of the spirit which denied the spirit. For the subsequent decades, uh, wanting psychology was taught broadly throughout the world. It taught that man was an animal. It taught that man could not be bettered. It taught that intelligence never changed. This subject, wanting psychology, became standard, mainly because of the indifference or lack of knowledge of people in charge of universities. Scientology can and does change behavior and intelligence, and it can and does assist people to study life. Unlike wanting pseudo-psychology, it has no political aspiration. Scientology is not teaching dialectical mannerism under the heading of psychology. Scientology is a way rather than a dissertation or an assertive body of knowledge. Through its drills and studies, one may find the truth for oneself. It is the only thing that can show you who you really are. The technology is therefore not expounded as something to believe, but something to do. The end result of Scientology studies and drills is a renewed awareness of self as a spiritual and mortal being. Only those who believe, as do psychiatrists and psychologists, that man is a soulless animal, or who wish for their own reasons to keep man unhappy and oppressed, are in any conflict with Scientology. Scientology, used by the trained and untrained person, improves the health, ability, intelligence, behavior, skill, and appearance of people. It is the precise and exact science designed for an age of exact sciences. It is employed by an auditor upon individuals or small or large groups of people in their presence. The auditor makes these people, at their choice, do various exercises, and these exercises bring about changes for the better in intelligence, behavior, and general competence. Scientology is employed as well by business and government persons to solve problems and to establish better organization. It is also employed by the average person to bring better order into life. How is Scientology used? Scientology is employed by an auditor as a set of drills upon the individual. And small or large groups, it is also employed as an educational subject. It has been found that persons can proceed in Scientology with Scientology exercises and can be freed from their major anxieties and can become brighter, more alert, and more competent. But if they are only preceded to, they have a tendency to be overwhelmed or startled. And although they may be brighter and more competent, they are still held down by an ignorance of life. Therefore, it is far better to teach and precede a person than only to process him. In other words, the best use of Scientology is through processing and education in Scientology. It is in this way there is no imbalance. It is interesting that people only need to study Scientology to have some small rise to their own intelligence, behavior, and competence. The study itself is therapeutical and by actual testing. It is also used by businesses and government leaders to establish or improve organization. It is used as well by the individual at home or at his work to make a better life. Is Scientology valid? Tens of thousands of case histories are tens of thousands of case histories, all sworn to, are in the possession of the organizations of Scientology. No other subjects on earth except physics and chemistry have had such grueling testing. Scientology, in the hands of an expert, can restore man's ability to handle any and all of his problems. Scientology is used by some of the largest companies on earth. It is valid and it has been tested and is only thoroughly tested system of improving human relations, intelligence, and character, and it is only one which does. I would like to know which companies actually use this personally. Where is the most information about Scientology? There are Scientology organizations located throughout the world. Scientology practitioners are validated by these organizations. Diplomas are given only after very exact training. A person who is skilled in Scientology procedures has a diploma from one of these organizations. A list of these organizations is provided in the back of this book. These offices and these people can give you more information about Scientology. There have been more. There have also been many books published on the subjects of dynamics and Scientology. A full list of these books given in the bibliography at the back of this volume. Can a person without much study use Scientology? Scientology is practiced in daily life by enormous numbers of people who have no formal training in the humanities beyond the study of textbooks. Scientology was developed to be used by such people as well as by the trained practitioner. A person studying by himself from textbooks can use Scientology to help his fellow human beings. What special use does Scientology have? Scientology does things for people where nothing has been done before. It restores people's ability to handle conditions which were once considered hopeless, increase their intelligence, it changes their competences, and betters their behavior. In addition to these, it brings them a better understanding of life.